In Hong Kong, some students said they were asked to provide information of their social media accounts during their application for U.S. visas. Samantha Lee reports.
Dozens of people could be seen lining up outside the U.S. Consulate General in Hong Kong. Some of them are student visa applicants. This man said he was quite nervous during the application process, as he was asked about his social media activities while filling out the application form. He said he was also questioned about his views on the new U.S. policies, and he replied he had not paid close attention to the issue. Other visa applicants also expressed concerns about the social media vetting.
I think completely not necessary because, it's political issues. They should not involve anything related to the students or education. I don't see any sense over there. I feel kind of nervous because of the policy, which is they are not really friendly to the foreigners. And so I'm not sure if that will impact to the business or not.
According to the procedure, student visa applicants can schedule an interview at the U.S. Embassy or consulate after being accepted to an American university. This is usually in May or June. Some overseas study consultants said applicants can consider applying to universities in other countries, such as the UK or Australia, if they fail to get a visa from the US government. The consultants said those planning to study in the UK in September need to submit their visa applications by the end of July, while students aiming to start the new school year at Australian University in February have to apply for their visas by December at the latest. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
Foreign Minister Wang Yi arrived in Hong Kong today ahead of tomorrow's signing ceremony for the Convention on the Establishment of the International Organization for Mediation. Wang landed at Hong Kong International Airport after attending a China-Pacific Islands foreign ministers meeting in Xiamen. He then headed to the office of the Commissioner of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Central. Chief Executive John Lee was seen at the office in the evening as well. Tomorrow's signing ceremony will reportedly take place at the Grand Hyatt Hotel in Wan Chai, with heightened security measures in the surrounding area. The event will be attended by senior representatives from nearly 60 countries across Asia, Africa, Latin America, and Europe, as well as delegates from about 20 international organizations, including the United Nations. Following the signing, an international mediation forum will be held to discuss topics such as dispute resolution among nations and international investment conflicts. Chief Executive John Lee said the soon-to-be-established International Organization of Mediation, or IOMED, would help attract legal talent to the city.
And we will also be able to expand the influence of IOMED across the world. We can recommend talent to our country or to IOMED. And for people from different sectors, if they have talent in mind, they're welcome to recommend such talent to us.
A U.S. trade court on Wednesday blocked President Donald Trump's tariffs from going into effect. A ruling by the three-judge panel on the Court of International Trade said Trump did not have the authority to impose sweeping levies on trading partners. The judges ordered the Trump administration to issue new orders reflecting the permanent injunction within 10 days. The administration has filed a notice of appeal and questioned the court's authority. Nasvi Kareem with more.
The bulk of Donald Trump's aggressive tariffs regime is based on the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEEPA. The law is meant to be used for threats during a national emergency, which Trump declared soon after taking office to address U.S. trade deficit with other countries valued at more than $1.5 trillion. On April 2nd, he launched his Liberation Day tariff plan, hitting countries with increased levies on imported goods, particularly China. These were paused to make way for negotiations. However, U.S. Trade Court has blocked the taxes from going into effect, saying the IEEPA cannot be used to impose tariffs and that the president overstepped his authority. A three-judge panel on the Court of International Trade said the U.S. Constitution gives Congress exclusive authority to regulate commerce and is not overridden by emergency powers. This means a suspension of a 30% tariff on Chinese imports, along with levies on 100 countries. However, the 25% tariffs on cars, auto parts, steel and aluminium remains. The administration can appeal the Manhattan-based court's decision via the U.S. Court of Appeals and ultimately the Supreme Court. The ruling was the result of two lawsuits, one filed by the nonpartisan Liberty Justice Center on behalf of 5 U.S. businesses and the other by 12 U.S. states. Before the court's decision, Trump denied that cutting tariffs on Chinese goods to 30% from 145% was a climb down.
It's called negotiation. You set a number. And if you go down, if I set a number at a ridiculous high number and I go down a little bit, they want me to hold that number.
The Justice Department, meanwhile, said the lawsuits should be dismissed because the plaintiffs have not been harmed by the tariffs. White House spokesperson Kush Desai said the trade deficits are a national emergency that has decimated American communities, left workers behind and weakened the country's defense industrial base, facts that the court did not dispute. Nazri Karim, TVB News.
Amid the tariff war, some Americans and U.S. businesses have found it hard to replace Chinese-made products. And some say America's financial dominance also faces growing challenges. Mimo Singhai reports.
This is Boris, a resident of Alameda County, California. A TVB news crew paid a visit to his house and conducted a test to count how many Chinese-made items were in his house. What would the house be like if all those products were gone?
It would be very, very empty and not functional without electronic and electric equipment for a kitchen.
Boris said he does not think a winner would emerge from the tariff war. He also said the U.S. would not benefit from it.
Americans are very proud of themselves and they want to be number one. And they don't want anybody even come close to it. The wars don't improve the life. They just destroy the life.
Most of the musical instruments in this San Francisco shop are from China. The owner said they had imported violins from Southeast Asia in the past, but were not satisfied with the quality. Meanwhile, Larry Yu, a former executive of a financial services company in the U.S., said the tariff war has undermined people's confidence in the American market. He said to many around the world, the Trump administration's ever-shifting tariff policies are equivalent to being untrustworthy and unreliable. And some of Trump's advisors have espoused unorthodox ideas in recent months, including forcing foreign governments to swap treasuries for cheaper bonds in order to reduce interest payments. Yu said as a result of all these developments, America's financial dominance and the U.S. dollar status will suffer. Memos 9, TVB News.
Tesla and SpaceX boss Elon Musk is leaving his U.S. government role as a top advisor to President Donald Trump after spearheading efforts to reduce and overhaul the federal bureaucracy. The billionaire entrepreneur posted on Wednesday about his decision on X. As my scheduled time as a special government employee comes to an end, I would like to thank President Donald Trump for the opportunity to reduce wasteful spending, he wrote. A White House official confirmed that Musk was leaving. Musk has been a controversial figure in the administration, responsible for the loss of hundreds of thousands of federal jobs. Musk's departure comes one day after he criticized the centerpiece of Trump's legislative agenda, saying he was disappointed by what the president calls his big, beautiful bill, which offers tax relief and aims to spur manufacturing growth. Trump was asked about Musk's comments and replied that the bill received a lot of votes in Congress. Welcome back. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov spoke with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio Wednesday about preparing concrete proposals for a new round of direct talks with Ukraine. This comes as U.S. President Donald Trump expressed frustration with Russian leader Vladimir Putin just one day after warning him that he was playing with fire by resisting ceasefire talks with Ukraine while escalating drone and missile attacks on the country. Tracy Furness reports.
Speaking to reporters in the Oval Office, US President Donald Trump said he was disappointed in Russian President Vladimir Putin's decision to escalate attacks on Ukraine as the two sides are negotiating an end to the war.
I'm very disappointed at what happened a couple of nights now where people were killed in the middle of what you would call a negotiation. I'm very disappointed.
What stopped you from imposing new sanctions on Russia?
Only the fact that if I think I'm close to getting a deal, I don't want to screw it up by doing that. You have to know when to use that. If I think it's going to hurt a deal, this isn't my war. This is Biden's war, Zelensky's war, and Putin's war. This isn't Trump's war.
Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky met with new German Chancellor Friedrich Merz in Berlin Wednesday as Ukraine seeks further military support amid a recent escalation in Russia's bombing campaign.
Wir tun es aber auch den Weg.
Merz said Germany will continue its military support and will increase it so that Ukraine can continue to defend itself against Russian aggression. He added, "We are financing a considerable part of the Starlink coverage of the country, and our defense ministers are going to sign a memorandum of understanding on the procurement of long-range weapons systems produced by Ukraine, so-called long-range fires. There will be no range limits on these." Zelensky called for deeper defense cooperation across Europe and with the United States. Meanwhile, people line the streets in silence in the Ukrainian town of Korostyshiv as the funeral of 3 siblings killed in a Russian strike took place. The siblings, 8-year-old Tamara, 12-year-old Stanislav, and 17-year-old Roman Martiniuk, died when debris from a Russian cruise missile slammed into their home during an aerial attack. It was one of several recent tragedies in which children and teenagers have died in Ukraine. Tracy Furness, TVB News.
Back locally, women with a high risk of developing breast cancer can join the second round of a government screening program for free. It covers women aged between 35 to 74 who either carry certain genetic mutations or have a strong family history of breast or ovarian cancer. The program will run for 3 years. Eligible women can choose from 7 service providers in the city from today and schedule imaging appointments. Bus operator Kowloon Motor Bus, or KMB, inaugurated its new electric bus maintenance training center at its Sha Tin depot. The opening ceremony was attended by Secretary for Environment and Ecology Che Chin-wan and KMB's management. The training center is equipped with insulated tools, protective gear, and EV components to facilitate hands-on learning for high-voltage system maintenance. KMB plans to expand its electric bus fleet as part of Hong Kong's broader green initiatives. The Macau government will continue to offer cash handouts this year, but not every citizen is entitled to it. Only residents who've stayed in the enclave for at least 183 days over the previous year can benefit. From July 15th onwards, permanent residents will get 10,000 patakas, while non-permanent residents will receive 6,000 patakas. Under revised rules, both groups are required to have stayed at least 183 days in Macau in 2024. However, exemptions are in place for 3 groups: residents aged under 22 in the last year, those whose parents qualify for disability pensions or allowances, and 8 types of residents who spend a significant time outside of the city, such as working in the Greater Bay Area. In recent years, China's southwestern province Guizhou has ramped up promotion of its ethnic heritage and natural landscapes. Among the highlights are its Dong ethnic group songs, which have been featured recently in Chinese animated film Ne Zha 2. Jackie Lin reports.
Guizhou's allure is not limited to these picturesque mountain sites, but also the sounds of the grand song of the Dong people. The tune Cuckoo Spring was also performed in front of President Xi Jinping during his visit to a Dong village in Liping County. One of the singers, Wu Jiajia, said she had no idea Xi was to visit them at the time. So when she saw him, she almost missed her cue and sang the wrong note. The Dong Grand Song, which dates back to the Song dynasty, was listed as a UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage in 2009 and featured in the Chinese hit animation film Ne Zha 2. The song has no accompaniment or conductor. Without a written language, the Dong people pass down their history through songs. Having learned to sing at the age of 4, Wu said she has memorized over 300 songs by heart. She said all songs are taught orally, word by word, tone by tone, so it takes a lot of dedication and memory. Now transformed into a scenic spot, the Dong village received more than 30% of its visitors last year from the Greater Bay Area, which is just 3 hours away by high-speed rail. The region's tourism income last year also reached about 1 billion yuan. Guizhou's other major draws include the 78-meter-high Huangguoshu waterfall in Anshan City, also known as the #1 waterfall in Asia. Another hotspot, the blue-green lakes of Shaoqi in Libo County, touted as the emerald of Earth's waistline. It also marks the first World Natural Heritage in Guizhou. Many young people donned white when trying to take a snap there. This traveler from Zhejiang said the white color matches the emerald color. Shaoqi can receive up to 80,000 visitors a day, and authorities said there is still room to grow. This year, the landmark is expected to receive 6.6 million visitors. Jacqueline, TVB News.
That's the news. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.